Well, hello, everybody. It's Matthew Rowe with Aspire Career Services. And we're so glad that you're inside of the Aspire Hub, checking out all the different training modules. This training module is about leadership and management skills, where we're going to do a dive into understanding the key differences between the two, and then also some elements of each one of them. So let's go ahead and get started. So, first is the introduction. So the objective of this training module is to be able to, once again, differentiate between leadership and management and truly understanding the dynamics and the things that go into each one of those, really so you can become more intentional about each one. The key focuses will be over leadership and how it drives culture, connection, development, and accountability. We truly believe that those four main categories are the drivers of effective leadership. And then last, the goal is to be able to equip you with skills to excel in both leadership and management roles. All right, here we go. So the first thing is the difference between leadership and management, and what are the key differences. So the first is that leadership builds culture, creates connections, drives development, and ensures accountability. These are kind of the categories or the things that aren't necessarily urgent. And what I mean by that is that they're not screaming in your face every single day. People aren't coming up to you and saying, "Hey, I need you to build a better culture. Hey, I need you to build a better culture." They're not doing that, right? Instead, we have to be the one to be proactive about it. I always tell all the people that I'm mentoring or training in leadership is that if it's not intentional, it's not impactful. And this rings so true when it comes to these things. If you're not intentional about building a culture, if you're not intentional about creating connections with your team, if you're not intentional about driving development and learning, and if you're not intentional about ensuring that there's accountability, if you're not intentional about those things, then they're not impactful. Okay. So that's extremely important to remember. And then management. So management is simply kind of not the opposite, but just it's completely different. And what it is it executes plans, ensures efficiency, and maintains order. Right. Instead, it's kind of that technical part of the job. Right. Learning how to do the technical things that you do in order to produce, and learning the systems and executing plans and ensuring efficiency and order within those systems. So management is truly that. It just like it sounds, you're managing the situation, right? You're ensuring that the things are happening the proper way that they're supposed to happen. So the focus will be about leadership, or I'm sorry, the focus is that leadership is about people and management is about processes. So if I could really sum it up, that'd be the most effective way to sum it up is just keep in mind, if you hear the word leadership, think people. If you hear the word management, think processes. All right. So let's talk about a leadership focus. So the first two categories is culture and connection. Let's talk about those two. So culture leads our leaders shape and nurture organizational culture. So these are things like your vision, your values, some sort of system of recognition. And that's not the same thing as appreciation. Remember that. Connection is, I'm sorry, um, recognition is recognizing someone for their efforts, right? Like they achieved a certain mark or they improved by a certain mark, right? You're recognizing them for the efforts that they put forward, and especially if they're efforts that meet expectations. Appreciation is just it's common ground, it's respect, it's just understanding that they're sacrificing the same things that you are, and it's really just this mutual respect and understanding. So, like, hey, I really appreciate you coming in and working hard today. Why? Because you probably came in and worked hard that day too, right? So it is that common ground and understanding. All right. And then impact. So it creates an environment of trust and collaboration. It truly does. When you have a well thought out vision and you're constantly communicating that, when you have values, things that are just so intrinsic and important to the culture of your team, and those are what drive you in the direction of your vision. And then you have a strong system of recognition. It truly does create an environment of trust and collaboration within your team. And now let's talk about connection. So here's where leaders build strong relationships and networks. It's so critical. I hear all the time from leaders that, well, I'm not here to be their friend. And while I agree with that statement, and I think that's a valid statement, the intentions behind it, I think, are misleading. Meaning, what you're saying is, I don't want to have to deal with the drama. I don't want to have to deal with the ins and outs. I don't want to have to deal with their personality. I don't want to have to deal with the way that they speak to other people. What you're saying is, I don't want to have to deal with all the icky personality stuff, right? And the truth is that if you want to be a leader, you have to. That's part of it. That's the critical part of it, is dealing with those things. So keep that in mind, that if you truly want to be an effective leader, you have to be able to connect with your team. You can be friendly without being friends, right? Yeah, I don't encourage you to form friendships, but rather strong professional relationships where you really do connect. Um, and the impact is it enhances team cohesion and morale. So the stronger that your team is connected, the stronger you as the leader are connected to your team, the more effective that they will work together as a team. All right. Up next is leadership focus of development and accountability. So first is development. So development, leaders invest in the growth and potential of their team. So this is where, once again, just like the word says, invest. It's critical that you understand that if you want something in return, you have to invest, right? You can't expect to get a return on the stock market if you're not investing in the stock market. Same thing goes here. You have to invest your time, your effort, your skill, and to grow and develop your team. And when you do that, you will get a return from that. The impact, it drives continuous improvement and innovation within your team, right? And I always tell people, the most effective mindset management tool is development. If your employees feel like they're being developed, and then it's going to regulate their mindset on its own, right? You don't have to always be the one regulating their mindset. They're naturally going to do that if they're being developed by you. Why? Because of progression, right? We are inspired by our progress. You see it all around. And then last is accountability. Leaders hold themselves and others accountable. That key part is right at the very top, right? Hold themselves and others accountable. You can't effectively hold other people accountable without holding yourself accountable first, right? This is where that famous, not famous, but people, it's overused in my opinion. They use the term, well, lead by example. Lead by example. All they're saying in that instance is that they expect their leader to model the things that they expect, right? And that is a key part of accountability. It's only one small slither of leadership, as we can see here, but it is an important one, right? You can't expect other people to do things that you're not either willing or capable or able of doing yourself. So you have to be able to do that. It ensures integrity, responsibility, and results. So when you're holding people accountable, it's so important that you have clear expectations, right? Clearly, what do you expect from them? And then they need to have accessibility to it as well. Not just clarity, but accessibility, meaning at any time, they should be able to access these expectations to be able to review them. And then we also need to be able to give them clear progress in these expectations so they can track and see how they're either meeting these expectations or not meeting these expectations. And then lastly, is just really that self actualization, which is a big fancy word for just helping them realize and see their true potential when it comes to their progress and advancement. All right. Management focus. So processes and execution. So process managers design and implement efficient systems. So as a manager, it is critical that you understand the technical part of your job inside and out. Why? So you can create and design and implement these efficient systems within it. The impact is it ensures consistency and productivity, right? If you have a solid product but no system, it's hard to execute. So same thing goes here. So execution, managers prioritize tasks and meet deadlines. The impacts is it delivers results through careful planning and coordination. Once again, you have to have a system of organization as a manager. You can't just solely rely on your personality. You have to be able to do both. People talk all the time about, well, what's better, a leader or a manager? Or I want a leader and not a manager, or whatever. But the truth is that you have to be both. If you want to effectively manage or lead a team, if you would effectively want to be the boss, right? And let's say that is your role, that's your position. You're not going to be effective in that position if you can't lead and manage, right? You have to be able to balance the two. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more here in a second. All right. So, kind of some conclusions and next step is integration. You have to be able to balance these things. I always suggest 60-40. So, that means that 60% of your time should be in leadership type activities, 40% should be in management activities, right? Managing, implementing, designing the systems, ensuring that they're operating properly, whatever the technical side of your job is. And then 60% is really that culture, connection, development, and accountability section, where you're really focusing on those things that you have to be very, very intentional about in order for them to be impactful. Application. So apply leadership principles to build a strong culture, foster connections, develop your team, and maintain accountability while managing processes effectively. Right. This is, if you could sum up the goal of what you want to do as a leader or a boss, right? Is that this is the sentence, or the sentence that basically embodies that. If you can apply this well, you're going to be very, very successful in a leadership role. Action. Cultivate leadership qualities to drive culture, connection, development, and accountability. It's not good enough to just talk about these things, guys. And you can research them, and that's fine. But really, it's developing these skill sets. Leadership is a skill set, just like almost anything else. Just like riding a bike or learning how to swim, you can develop the skill set of leadership. But how you do that is through, just like everything else, is practice, repetition, application, over and over and over again until you become more and more efficient at it. So I highly suggest, guys, that you explore your subscription some more. And if you're not signed up for the leadership package, sign up for it, especially if you're looking to get into leadership, or if you're already in a leadership management position. Sign up for that leadership package, because what we're going to do is we're going to do monthly one-on-one leadership training and really help you develop these skill sets, through repetition. And that's in addition to your mentoring session. So with that leadership package, guys, not only do you continue to get mentoring through us, but then you get specified leadership training, where we really help you develop these skill sets. That's it, guys. That's all I have. Thank you so much, and keep looking around on the Inspire Hub and checking out what we have out there. Have a phenomenal day. Thank you.